Thank you all for coming out. It's a beautiful day here today. Mayor Walsh, members of the Downing family, Benjamin and Joseph, Councilor Edwards, Representative Vandaro, Senator Boncari, fellow veterans, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to pay tribute to a great American and a city of Boston hero. This hero immigrated to Winthrop from Canada with his father and siblings. Ultimately, the family moved here to East Boston and called this neighborhood their home. We are here to dedicate a hero square in the remembrance of Private First Class Albert Henry Downing. Hero Squares allows us to pay tribute and honor to our fallen service members in a very visible and permanent way. The Hero Squares program is meaningful to the family and friends of the service member as well as the community they lived in. Once we unveil Private Downing's Hero Square, please notice the gold star. This gold star is a symbol that represents the Downing family. The Downing family has been a Gold Star family since July 11th, 1918. Being a Gold Star family is an honor nobody wants. No wife wants to lose a husband. No father wants to lose a daughter. No sister wants to lose a brother, and no brother wants to lose a sister. But it's proof that service members do not serve alone. Their families serve with them. So let us all remember that with each Hero Square, there are families mourning that fallen service member who is being honored because they were killed in action while serving in a time of conflict. I'm sure Private Downing did not want to die, but I can tell you he was willing to make this great sacrifice. Private Downing finally succumbed to his wounds and paid the ultimate price for the freedoms that we all enjoy today. A special thank you to the Downing family. I commend you for what you have done in memory of your loved one, Private Albert Henry Downing. Thank you. Right now, I would like to introduce a true advocate of our veterans, service members, and their families, our mayor, Mayor Marty Walsh.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'd like to, on behalf of myself, City Councilor Lydia Edwards, State Representative Adrian Madero, State Senator Joe Boncori, welcome everyone here today. Would like to thank the Downing family for being with us today. I'd like to recognize Joe Downing and former State Senator Ben Downing as well that's with us today, and all of the Downing family that's here today on this very special day. We're gathered here today to dedicate a Hero Square to Private First Class Albert H. Downing of East Boston. Before I do that, I also want to give a special recognition to former State Senator Anthony Petroselli. We're hanging on the corner across from his house, who served with Ben. So thank you very much, Anthony, for having us in your neighborhood. Private Downing passed away just over 100 years ago, but we still remember his honor and his sacrifice for his neighborhood, his city, and his country. He was a true American hero. Private Downing was born in New Brunswick, Canada. He immigrated with his family to Greater Boston, which they eventually settled here in Eastie. He enlisted in the United States Army during World War I, and he proudly served the 26th Division of the 101st Infantry Regiment. Alongside the French Army, his unit made a raid into Germany lines, making this the first time an American unit has launched a raid in the war. He passed away from injuries he sustained while in France in 1918. He was awarded the World War I Victory Medal for his courage and ultimate sacrifice. Private Downing joins over 1,700 Hero Squares across the city of Boston. These squares are found in intersections like the one we're at today, all across our neighborhoods, streets we walk by and walk down every single day. These are familiar sights sometimes that go unnoticed, but they deserve to be noticed. Each square represents a person, a resident, a hero. Boston has a long legacy of patriots, generations of men and women who have fought for our country. In nearly 400 years since our city's existence, they always have been brave Bostonians ready to answer the call to service. They followed this call wherever it took them, sometimes to lands far away from their neighborhoods. Many of those men and women didn't make it home. Their commitment to service should be remembered, and their stories should be told. Our Veterans Department is currently rededicating several of our Hero Squares all across our city. We're installing a biology plaque, to give more information to tell about a hero's life. So when people walk by and they see the name on top of the sign, they don't know who that person is, and we're putting some facts on there so people understand who they are. We're installing them all across our city. We want these signs to be eye-catching, so people stop and read about the history of service in their neighborhoods, so the generations that come behind them understand that the people that came before them fought for their freedom and fought for their country and fought for their city. It's a reminder to all of us that in our busy lives we must take a moment to be thankful for the freedoms we enjoy. And we must be thankful for the brave Bostonians like Private Downing who made freedom possible. I'd like to again give a special shout out to Commissioner Santiago and his office at the Veterans Affairs, who have done an amazing job in the city of Boston. And again, on behalf of myself, City Councilor Edwards, Representative Madero, and the Senator for being here today, all of you being here today. It's a very special day here in East Boston. And to the Downing family, I want to thank you very much for being, number one, for being here, but thank you for the sacrifice that your family made in 1918. That war was a very important war for the future and the history of the United States of America, as were World War II. The men and women who fought in those two wars, if they didn't fight in those wars, we'd be in a very different place today. So thank you very much.
Thank you to our bugler of the day, Josh Brigadier from WCVB Channel 5. At this time, I want to call up Benjamin Downing, whose Private Downing was his great-great-uncle.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, and it's an honor to stand up here on behalf of my entire family. First, thank you to the Mayor and to Senator Boncory, Representative Madero, Councilor Edwards, for taking the times out of your incredibly busy schedule to be here and for making this possible. I know I speak on behalf of my entire family when we say thank you, and I know I speak on behalf of the current East Boston contingent of the family, my wife Michaela, my son Malcolm, when we say there are many great things we love about East Boston, but our elected representatives are first and foremost on that list, so thank you for your service. I also want to thank, and he will speak briefly after me, my Uncle Joe, who took the time to really dig into the history of our family's service to our country and to help to organize this. So thank you, Uncle Joe, for that work. And in particular to our point of contact in the city of Boston, Daryl Miller, who's just been great at responding to our questions around this, thinking about this, and making this whole day possible. Thank you, Daryl, for your service as well. And to my former colleague, former State Senator Anthony Petrocelli, we sat next to one another in the Senate chambers. Our relatives will be recognized across the square from one another here in East Boston. I guess this means we have to find a way to recognize your family in Pittsfield somehow, so we will find a connection. I am sure there was produce in the market that came from Western Mass. At some point we will find the farm and we will recognize that. Building on what the mayor so eloquently said, I think the wonderful thing and the special thing about today and about all of the hero squares across the city of Boston and those that are recognized in the other 350 cities and towns in Massachusetts is that they are both remarkable and unremarkable. They are unremarkable in that for generations, young men and women have served and given the greatest gifts that they could give to this country so that we all would enjoy the freedoms that we have. And many of them, as my great-great-uncle were first-time, first-generation immigrants to this country, and they brought their talents and their blessings to this country. They looked at all this country gave to them and immediately wanted to give back. And that should not be forgotten as we discuss and debate immigration, that for generations immigrants have come and have made our country stronger and have given directly to that country, in some cases in the most dramatic of ways. So on behalf of my family, I simply want to say thank you to the City of Boston for continuing to recognize the sacrifice that was made, but more importantly for recognizing the sacrifices that thousands of families and many more in their community have made and what those sacrifices have made possible. The wonderful community that we call home here, the wonderful Commonwealth that we call home in Massachusetts. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to bring up now my Uncle Joe to say a few words about Albert Henry Downing.
Thank you. Thank you, Benjamin. Again, thank you to the mayor for showing a great amount of respect to be here today, and the other elected officials. My granduncle was the third of 5 children. His father, Daniel, born in Canada, came to Boston to be in the molasses business. As the third of 5, his death was a great loss to his family. And his younger brother, Sanford Downing Sr., my grandfather, who lived here in East Boston. The many Downings that are here today, now under the married names of Breen and Matthews and Surratt, are all descendants of Sanford Sr. Sanford gave birth to 5 children, and all 5 of those children, including my father, played a role in World War II. My oldest aunt served Eisenhower on his staff in Washington. Uncle George was in the Navy. Sanford Jr. Was a manager in the shipbuilding business at Bethlehem. And the youngest in the family, my father, was a rate setter under him and a union man building ships in World War II. The remaining sister took care of my grandfather and his family. So his memory depends on those of us who loved him and knew him, and those who came before, since, again, he died without wife or child of his own. But I want to reinforce something Ben said. This is very much a Boston story. My family has stayed in Boston in various ways for almost 130 years. My parents, Benjamin's grandparents, and the grandparents of many here, John and Junior Downing and Gertrude, graduated from East Boston High in 1935. Ben's parents, when they started their marriage, lived in the North End, as did I, in the late 1970s. So Boston has remained a home and a center of gravity for our family. And when I look at that over the generations, including when I started here in the 70s, I have to pay a great compliment to the mayor, who has recognized what is best about the city, the parts of the past that need to be preserved and continued. We're the beneficiaries of that. We are representatives of that. And hopefully you'll take that as a sign of confidence of the leadership you bring to the city and the representatives you bring around you. So on behalf of my late great uncle, all of the Breens, the Matthewses, the Surratts, and the others who are here, children and grandchildren, and not even great-grandchildren of Albert, we thank you for your time and for your respect, and encourage you to be in touch with Ben for any additional information you may have about Albert or other heroes.
Thank you, Benjamin and Joe. At this time, I would like to say thank you to everybody who showed up here today. Our next Hero Square dedication is going to be in the Jamaica Plain neighborhood. It's going to be the William E. Cannery Square, and it's right there in the corner of Moraine and Center Street. And it's going to be at 11 o'clock as well. And he was also another World War I veteran who was killed in action. He was actually the first American that was killed in World War I. So if you like, please contact our office and get more information about any other Hero Square dedications that we may have. Thank you all for coming.